What's up, everybody? Welcome to another reading for you. If you happen to be seeing this soon after I've posted it around the realm of time that this goes up, then you may know that there's some very significant shifts that have been happening. You're probably feeling it energetically. And I know we talk about shifts all the time because the truth is there are shifts happening all the time. However, this last weekend, something major was happening. I don't know if you saw it, if you felt it, if you noticed some really eerie synchronicities, your body, your emotions, whatever, things were going on. It feels like it was tied to this Uranus Sun Cazimi, otherwise a very, very close conjunction in Taurus, which occurred on Saturday. And we will not be experiencing that specific conjunction again for another 84 years. Pretty significant. Also, if you follow Vedic astrology, the nodes of destiny shifted over the weekend to new signs. So, lots of things changing. With that said, we're going to do a quick, we'll see, reading about this next cycle for you. I wanted to focus on the karmic cycle that you have just completed and what is about to open up for you moving forward. This is also inspired by Saturn moving into Aries this coming weekend, another huge transit. So, for those of you who have your Saturn in Aries in your birth chart, you will be experiencing your Saturn return. I have a newsletter about that on returntoself.me coming out this week. So make sure to check that out if you want to learn more. Also, before I begin, just a reminder, my Shadows of the Self audio journey is still available on my website, mysticbrew.com, for only $25 for the month of May. So you have about a week and a half left to grab that if you would like. Otherwise, it'll still be available just at a higher cost. I wanted to make it as accessible as possible for Mental Health Awareness Day, so please take advantage. The other thing is I will be traveling this summer. So if you are curious or interested in booking a session with me, whether that's a reading or a Reiki session, if you're local to LA, then I suggest that you do that sooner rather than later. My books will be closed by June 23rd until August. So just putting that out there for you so you know ahead of time. Now, I do have a book that I want to do some bibliomancy with to begin, but before we even get into that, I wanted to incorporate my little ball of messages that I created for a wellness event that I was participating in recently. I did Reiki sessions for a mindful mixer hosted by NABJLA. It was wonderful. Everyone who got Reiki from me was a man. That rarely happens. So I love to see the men doing healing and allowing themselves to experience something new. All of them told me, I don't know what this is. I don't know. I've never done this before. And I said, that's fine. Pick a card, lay down, let me do the work. So good times. Anyway, I created this jar. I don't know. It reminds me of a crystal ball with messages that I typed up and cut up for everybody who came to my table. And I actually did a fun TikTok video with this today as well. You may have seen it if you follow me on social media. But I figured we can grab one to start this message. And then we'll get into the bibliomancy and then we'll get into the cards. So make sure you're breathing. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed, your jaw is relaxed. Do a quick body scan. And let's see, what is a reminder, a quick little message of guidance for someone watching this video at this time? When you let go, you make space for miracles. Miracles came up in this week's energetic forecast and reading on my newsletter. So if you haven't read that already, I feel like that's a sign for you to read that newsletter. Again, returntoself.me. When you let go, you make space for miracles. That's been such a theme in conversations lately as well, especially for those of us who really value security, stability, safety in that way that we unconsciously or not cling to control and think we're doing what we're supposed to be doing in order to make sure we're safe, secure, and stable. But sometimes we fail to recognize that we might be part of the problem because we continue to exert our own idea of what should be done instead of creating room for the universe to deliver its guidance, to grant us miracles, or to do what it does so that we understand we are not in this alone. Beautiful message for whoever that was for. I hope that helps you in whatever it is that you are releasing at this time or just surrendering and finding trust in. Now, for the bibliomancy, I decided to do a Paulo Coelho book. He's one of my favorite authors, and he came up in my FaceTime with my mom this morning. So I feel like that was a sign. And given this sort of rebirth energy that I'm feeling, the end of one cycle and beginning of another, I felt inclined to choose Veronika Decides to Die, which is one of his books. That's one of my top three of his books. Everyone knows him from The Alchemist, which, yes, it's a great book, but he's got some other ones that deserve praise as well. Okay, let's see what message someone watching this needs, please, and thank you. Oh. If he had not wanted that to happen, why did he put the tree in the middle of the garden and not outside the walls of paradise? If she were called upon to defend the couple, Mari would undoubtedly accuse God of administrative negligence because, in addition to planting the tree in the wrong place, he had failed to surround it with warnings and barriers, had failed to adopt even minimal security arrangements, and had thus exposed everyone to danger. Mari could also accuse him of inducement to criminal activity, for he had pointed out to Adam and Eve the exact place where the tree was to be found. If he had said nothing, generation upon generation would have passed on this earth without anyone taking the slightest interest in the forbidden fruit, since the tree was presumably in a forest full of similar trees and therefore of no particular value. But God had proceeded quite differently. He had devised a rule and then found a way of persuading someone to break it, merely in order to invent punishment. He knew that Adam and Eve would become bored with perfection and would, sooner or later, test his patience. He set a trap, perhaps because he, Almighty God, was also bored with everything going so smoothly. If Eve had not eaten the apple, nothing of any interest would have happened in the last few billion years. When the law was broken, God, the omnipotent judge, even pretended to pursue them, as if he did not already know every possible hiding place. With the angels looking on, amused by game, life must have been very dreary for them since Lucifer left heaven. He began to walk about the garden. Mari thought what a wonderful scene in a suspense movie that episode from the Bible would make. God's footsteps, the couple exchanging frightened glances, the feet suddenly stopping in their hiding place. I kind of want to keep going, but I'll just go to the end of the page. Where art thou? Asked God. I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself, Adam replied, without knowing that by making this statement he had confessed himself guilty of a crime. So by means of a simple trick, pretending not to know where Adam was or why he had run away, God got what he wanted. Even so, in order to leave no doubts among the audience of angels who were intently watching the episode, he decided to go further. Who told thee that thou was naked? Said God, knowing that this question would have only one possible response. Because I ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. With that question, God demonstrated to his angels that he was a just God and that his condemnation of the couple was based on solid evidence. From then on, it wasn't a matter of whether it was the woman's fault or of their asking for forgiveness. God needed an example so that no other being, earthly or heavenly, would ever again dare to go against his decisions. God expelled the couple, and their children paid for the crime too, as still happens with the children of criminals. And thus the judiciary system was invented. The law, the transgression of the law, no matter how illogical or absurd, judgment in which the more experienced triumphs over the ingenuous, and punishment. Very interesting. So many things. First of all, I feel like for some of you, Adam and Eve or that story may have been coming up recently for you, or perhaps you started reading the Bible again, or just again, that story of Adam and Eve has been getting your attention. Now, I personally have different beliefs on that story, which I'm not going to share here because I don't feel like it's important for this message. But what is coming up is it feels like for whoever I'm reading for with this message, I don't know that you feel like your journey has been just. I think there is an energy here of feeling a little bamboozled by God, or perhaps even feeling a little frustrated. You may also be actually going through some sort of legal matters at this time, whether it involves criminal activity or not. But there is this feeling I'm getting of almost betrayal. It feels angry and again, kind of wondering like you were set up. This sort of what I'm hearing is you talking to God or a higher power of the universe or whatever, and in a state of almost feeling depleted and defeated and asking like why what are you punishing me for? Why do you keep leading me back to this? Like there is just this sense of exhaustion and I'm seeing the 9 of Wands in my mind. But the 9 of Wands also talks about the final push before the thing happens. So your faith may be tested at this time as well. What I'm also getting is it's interesting that they mention judgment and how they're sort of correlating it to the judiciary statement because I said that I wanted to talk about karmic cycles and karma is sort of like energetic. I don't want to say judgment, it's cause and effect. But within sort of karmic energy, there is a sense of judgment that comes in whatever cosmic way. And so it feels like perhaps you might be in a state of cosmic judgment or feel as though you are. You may also be someone who is facing what feels like a fork in the road or an opportunity to go down a different path than what you're used to. And again, perhaps your trust is being questioned at this time or challenged. There may be a loss of hope or a loss of belief that is preventing you from trusting in going down a different path. And again, there is criminal activity all up in that. So that might be something that you experience growing up, whether with yourself or family or people around you. Or you might be someone who is currently undergoing something that involves criminal activity. No judgment from me. Either way, if you're here, you're seeking guidance, you're wanting some sort of insight or understanding or even confirmation to let you know that you are not going through this alone. I do feel a sense to share that this is not punishment. Do I want to share all that? I mean, it's coming up. When we talk about the tree of knowledge of good and evil, I know the passage talks about perfection and how that can be boring. And so now we throw in, all this other stuff to add some excitement and thrill. But the way I see it, and this is my universal truth, this is my lens on it. So if it doesn't fly with you, if you don't feel like it resonates, throw it away. That's okay. It's not about boredom as much as it is truth. You know, I'm all about truth, honesty, truth. So to me, this tree of knowledge was not to curse humanity for not listening. Knowledge is power. Power can be abused. When you have knowledge of all that exists, which means good and evil, because if you believe that God created everything, then that means you also believe that evil was a creation of God. And I know that's going to mess with some people, but just stick with me. If you believe that God created everything, then you also have to acknowledge that the things we don't like, the things that are horrific, the things that are not great, are then also created by God. Now, why is that? That's a whole other conversation. But in regards to this specific message, this is about wholeness. This is about the truth. This is about power and how to handle it, how to hold it without abusing it. It's not so much about punishment, but it can feel like punishment when you are now being shown your shadow, which might be evil or bad in your mind. Because perfection is the mask that is now being obliterated. The mask is coming off. So, whatever perfection you thought existed, you are now seeing the truth of the matter, which is perfection does not exist. What exists is all there is. And within all there are things that some of us refuse to face. And so the punishment is not in the things that you refuse to face that are now coming up in your life. This is an invitation. This is an opportunity to alchemize, to transmute that energy. So again, you're being shown your perception. How do you see things that are being shown to you? Do you assume that things are happening to you or for you? The way you interpret a situation gives you a better idea of the stories that you have already assumed to be true because they are a filter of that wound, of that narrative, of those truths. It goes through that filtration system. So these are things to think about, things to ask yourself. And I'm not dismissing or denying any true hardships that you may be facing or undergoing that may feel incredibly unfair or unjust. However, there is room to also wonder, what is this actually about? What am I not willing to face? What is the shadow side of this that was hidden just behind my awareness that is now coming to the forefront of my life, of my situation, of my being, because I can no longer ignore it? I mentioned that Saturn is moving into Aries. This is about a 2.5 year transit. We all go through a Saturn return, and you may not have known it at the time. You go through it multiple times in your life. It starts at around 28 years old. And when Saturn returns happen, Saturn is the disciplinarian. It's the teacher, but it's a teacher that uses tough love. Anyone who has prominent Saturn energy in their chart, like myself, is well aware of this energy. It's not going to coddle you. It's not going to just gently allow you to transition into it. No, it's going to kick your ass into whatever it is that you need to learn so that you can realign with what is your highest and best path, your purpose, your destiny, alignment. If you're over here distracted and dilly-dallying, Saturn is going to whip you into shape. And if you are refusing to be flexible, to notice, to give yourself the opportunity to show up differently, more matured, more disciplined, more committed, more mature, you're going to experience tower moment after tower moment after tower moment. And for those who are not familiar with tarot and the tower, this is sudden change, upheaval, a collapse. The universe will give you opportunities to reposition whatever's necessary many times before it forces it upon you. That's when it gets uncomfortable. So, ooh, excuse me. I'm also wearing the World card from Tarot on my necklace today, which is the last card of the major arcana, which therefore is sort of the last chapter of the spiritual journey before a new cycle begins. The world is completion of cycles. So let's get into what this is about. I feel like you're right. Like, again, I'm seeing a fork in the road. So I feel like this is not necessarily urgent. And if it is urgent, whoever it's urgent for, you're going to see this quickly and know it's for you. But again, there's a fork in the road, and it feels like the universe is really trying to hammer it in to not go down the same path that you are used to. So let's see. Let's start. Yeah, start with the tarot. I want to see cutting to death. Are you serious? All right. I want to see what cycle you are closing out right now. Or do I want to see your energy first? Let's see your energy first, really quick, and then we'll go into the cycle you're closing out. Justice. Wheel of Fortune. You guys, this is a lot of major arcana showing up. Something is shifting, something is turning. I heard the wheel is in your favor. That's another thing. Some of you may just have felt like you were going through prolonged punishment on this journey, wondering why things aren't moving forward, why they're not aligning, why you keep being seemingly held back or whatever else. And you may have thought like, what am I doing wrong? Like what? And it's not that. There's just certain cycles, death again, that needed to close out before you could move forward on the path. And what I'm also getting is for whoever I'm reading for, I think you get visions. I think you're very prophetic in that way. So you may have gotten glimpses from the universe, maybe even years ago, of potential realities, potential future timelines for yourself. And you've been holding on to that, but you didn't know the timing. And so, because of the timing, you may have begun to doubt that you are actually on the right path or that this is something that is available to you. Anyway, again, let's see. Please show me this person I'm reading for's energy at this time. Yeah. Yeah, you're feeling unfulfilled. This is very specific. I feel like for whoever I'm reading for, you are going through, oh, I just got really woozy. You may not be very grounded at this time, so make sure you're hydrating and getting back into your body. Make sure you're resting as well, because with all of these energetic changes, especially if you're experiencing some purges and releases, you need to rest. Stop doing the most. And what I'm also getting is for some of you, you keep trying to distract yourself from what's happening, and you need to just sit down and stop. Be still. Let it happen. I feel like for whoever I'm reading for, you're going through a very sort of bittersweet experience of not feeling like you are where you're meant to be. There's something around perhaps wanting to leave home in some way, or even go in search of home because maybe you don't even feel like you have someplace to really call home. Sorry, one second. Oof. Oof. Um, And this might be something physical, like your actual physical home, but what it feels like more is your surroundings, the people you're around. I don't know that you feel like you have support around you, true support. We have the Three of Cups in reverse, the Eight of Cups, and the Four of Wands in reverse. You, what I'm getting also is you may have experienced recently this sort of realization that the people around you are not your people. With this Three of Cups in reverse, you may be in hermit mode. You may be sort of like in a state of solitude, but I feel like, again, very specific. For whoever I'm reading for, you go out a lot to distract yourself. You may party a lot or like try to, just be social to avoid the emotions that keep coming up for you. You try to distract yourself with activity and stimulation and whatever else. But it feels like recently you may have been out with friends or hanging out with just people around you. And what I'm getting is super gossipy energy or drama, just like something was happening with your friendship group or people you were around. And you had a moment where you were like, oh, I don't want to be a part of this. Like, this is not for me anymore. Confirmation. There may have also been some sort of scandal involved with your friendship group or your community of people around you. Um, and it's almost like anytime you try to change, which was really like you grow, and this goes back to the passage, it's almost like what I'm getting is guilt trip you, or they try to pull you back into old energy by making you feel bad, or I don't know, it's like really manipulative energy. Um, But I do feel like you're sort of breaking away from that. For some people, there may also have been like a third party situation here, someone coming into a relationship that you may have been in, or it doesn't even have to be romantic, but I am seeing triangulation. It's like no matter what you do, you always get caught up in some shit, like some sort of drama. You get put in the center of it, or and again, part of that responsibility, you play a role in that. However, it does feel like part of the lesson for you within that is why do you keep hanging out with these people? Again, there's a fork in the road. Do you want to continue being around this energy, being associated with this energy, being involved with these types of dynamics and energy? Or are you ready to kind of venture solo a little bit and see what you find on the way to being your authentic self and this version of you that you're becoming? Because again, we kept seeing death. You're going through a death cycle. And within that death cycle, unfortunately, but fortunately, part of that experience is realizing that your home, the place you live, the people you're around, the things you engage in, the foods you eat, all the energies that you may have become used to are no longer aligned, and it can become so palpable that you feel it in your body. It's almost like it's like this, like you can't even handle it anymore. Your body will reject people, it will reject food, it will reject environments, it will reject whatever is no longer in alignment with the upgrade that you are experiencing. And I'm not saying this to create a hierarchy of energy. That's not the point. Everyone is where they are, but you are elevating to another level of experience. There is something happening with your system. And because of that, there is a filtration that's happening as well. So anything that is not in alignment, even if you think of the radio, if you think of just audio when you're on the radio tuning to a station, if you are not in alignment with that frequency, it's not going to be clear. It's going to be all noisy and like staticky because you're not in alignment. And so it's that same kind of energy. When you are no longer in alignment with people, places, things, and whatever else, it's going to feel staticky, noisy, irritable. You don't want to listen to that. You don't want to be in that. There's also this feeling of, because what came up as I was saying that was loyalty. I think you pride yourself on being a very loyal person because that's something you're proud of. You're proud of your ability to be loyal to the people that you claim loyalty to. Now, this is the other thing I need you to understand. Your loyalty, first and foremost, is to yourself. Because when you are loyal to yourself, you are then loyal to everything and everyone that supports you. And not in a way where no one checks or challenges you, but in a way where you are no longer staying in places that you are no longer welcome in or aligned with just for the sake of loyalty. You need to check in with yourself, especially if those that you are loyal to are not reciprocating that same energy back. And that's what I'm feeling with this as well. You claim loyalty to people who are not loyal to you, they use you. They use you because they know through past experiences that they can manipulate and guilt you into staying where you are and who you are. And so then they can keep using you and take advantage of you in whatever way they need. And I know that's kind of harsh and hard to hear, especially if it's resonating. And if it's resonating, that means you're coming up with memories. You're seeing certain people's faces, names, situations. They're coming up in your mind without you even trying because I'm dropping pennies. When I drop pennies, that means you're going to pick it up with memories. There's again a resonance that's happening because of what I'm saying. If that's happening for you, this is resonating with you. And pay attention to the people and the names that come up in your mind when I'm saying this. That's on purpose. That's your guidance telling you something. Now, with this Four of Wands in reverse, this feels like emotionally you're feeling just kind of pissed. That's what I'm getting. You're frustrated because I feel like for whoever I'm talking to, I think home is something you've always wanted. I think whatever home means to you, it's something you have searched for. It's something you have wanted to create and build. And that's why loyalty is so important to you because you never want other people to feel what you have felt. And so you are reliable, you are dependable, you stick around way longer sometimes than you need to because you want to show people that you are loyal and you are supportive and you're a ride or die. But listen, if you're riding just to die, maybe don't. Where are we riding to and why does anyone have to die? That is what I always say in response to that. Ride or die energy isn't the flex that you think it is. I know we love to say that, but it's actually not because if it is not healthy, get out and go your own way. I do feel like you're in a state of instability right now. You may feel like you are not welcome in the spaces, in the groups that you normally frequent. There is, again, a lack of support coming up with this Four of Wands in reverse as well, and also a feeling of lack of roots. You may have also been in conflict with some people recently because it also seems like this is more than just a feeling. I think you have said something, or there was at least a conversation, or even just what I'm seeing is a group of people gossiping or talking shit or doing what they normally do. And perhaps in the past, you would just kind of laugh it off or not really say anything. But I think perhaps you said something this time, or this may happen soon. And the reaction was not great. And in that way, it may have turned into an argument. But because of this, we have the Eight of Cups. So you're moving on, and that's good. I think all of this has shown you in more ways than one that you were unfulfilled in your current situation. There may be feelings of abandonment here or fears of other people feeling abandoned by you, but at the same time, it is worth letting go and walking into the unknown. Again, that fork in the road, you're willing to walk into the unknown and leave what you know because what you know is so not aligned. And you know this now. It's no longer a question. I'm also feeling like for some of you, You kept hoping that certain people would change, or it was just a phase, or maybe that it didn't bother you as much as you thought, and you could kind of overlook it or overcome whatever sort of um, energy or habits or patterns would irk you. But after a while, you realize, like, oh, this isn't changing. Like, this is what it is. And this is another lesson for you on acceptance. Am I willing to accept what this is? And by accepting what this is, am I willing to do what is necessary for myself with that truth? Which for you means letting it go. All right, well, shit. That's where your energy is at right now. If this reading is for you. If not, this is not your reading, and that's okay. You're more than welcome to stay. All right, let's get, ooh, the chariot movement. See, things are moving fast. As soon as you make that decision, things are going to move really quickly. And it feels like as soon as you make that Eight of Cups decision, if you haven't already. And that's the thing. Again, remember that little message we got, make room for miracles. When you stop forcing a certain reality to be true for you, even though it is not in alignment and you know that because you keep seeing it and you keep feeling it, you allow the universe to put something that is more aligned in that space that you have just created. So let's see what karmic cycle you are closing out or recently closed out. The world. I just love this. I love this. I love doing this. Okay. Please show me the karmic cycle that they are closing out at this time. That flipped in the air, which is powerful. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying. Ooh. Are you cross? You're cross? Okay. Okay, okay. So you're still a little hesitant on that. Ooh, we love that. I know you're like, Bruno, what? I'm gonna tell you. Okay. Ooh, itch. Scratchy, scratchy. The cycle that you are closing out at this time. We got the Ace of Swords in reverse, the Three of Swords in reverse, the Six of Pentacles, the Five of Wands cross, and the Fool at the top of the deck with the Queen of Swords in reverse at the bottom. So lots of swords energy, lots of air energy, Gemini, Libra, um, Aquarius. With the Fool at the top, the world is the last major arcana, the last bit of the spiritual journey before you start a new cycle. When you start a new cycle, you start at the Fool. People hear the name Fool and they think it's a bad thing. No, the Fool has a sort of naivete that's not dumb. It's just this fearlessness. It's a free spirited energy. It's, oh, I let go of all that baggage. I am no longer attached to any of that. And now I have unlimited opportunity for what's next because this is a whole new journey. This is a new beginning for you. The Gemini new moon may be significant for you as well. I have a newsletter coming out this week for that too. So keep an eye out for that. This is fresh hope. This is taking chances. This is spontaneity. This is also a card of a leap of faith. And so it may have been a leap of faith, even just moving away from everything you knew, everything you considered home, friends, family, whatever, that you then realized, oh, shoot, this is not for me anymore. It's a leap of faith to leave that behind. It's not easy. Even if you know people are not great for you, even if you know that what you've always known is not great for you, it's still hard to let it go because of that comfort, because of that history. But history means nothing if it's just going to have you repeat the same thing over and over again, and that not being what you actually want. So you are starting a new cycle. This is a new beginning. And like I mentioned earlier, what was not coming into fruition in the past was because you needed to take care of this energy first. There were karmic lessons for you when it came to your mindset, when it came to your communication, when it came to your relationships, when it came to pain within relationships, when it came to heartbreak, when it came to reciprocation. Now let's get into this. The cycles you are ending or have just ended, part of it has to do with confusion. It feels like mentally you lacked focus and you may have lacked direction. You may have been going through a lot of stress, a lot of mental chatter, and a lot of mental blocks. Because again, it feels like for whoever I'm talking to, your inner dialogue, and this just came up, your inner dialogue was connected to a feminine, specifically a mother figure, because of this Queen of Swords in reverse here, feminine figure. But again, in reverse, not very nice. Queen of Swords in reverse is manipulative. She's a bit bitchy. She's cold. She is spiteful. She can be really deceitful, unforgiving, really just hard. It's a very hard energy, not very mothering, not very maternal, very pessimistic, always thinking of the worst case scenario, very bitter. And so again, there may be some of that you experience with your own maternal figure, but either way, this feels like your internal dialogue that may have been adopted over time. So perhaps part of the reason that you kept finding yourself in similar environments is because anytime you wanted to do something differently, that voice started chit-chattering and convinced you to stay in whatever it was you were always doing, because not because it's punishing you or because it hates you, because it loves the predictability. As I mentioned in my Breaking Through the Blocks webinar, where I talk about your 4 energy blocks, when you are ready to take a risk and do something differently, your gremlin, which is your internal critic, is loud, just all up in your ear, telling you all the reasons why you shouldn't do it. And that's because it's coming from a place of fear. And so the cycle that you are breaking is that hostility in your mind. You have been rewriting the scripts that kept playing on autopilot in your mind. You are allowing yourself to learn how to communicate better. Your communication habits may not have been so great. And again, with this deceit in the internal dialogue, even just lying to yourself, there's also dishonesty here with the Ace of Swords in reverse. You may have been dishonest with others as well. You may have had a reckoning with that, whether that was experiencing a lot of dishonesty in return from those that you care about, or recognizing just how destructive your dishonesty was for the people, places, and things that you actually cared about. It does feel like this cycle is allowing you to focus more, to embrace new ideas, new insights, and again, the truth. Swords is about the truth. It is the weapon of truth. And once you are no longer afraid of the truth, you will allow yourself a new path to see, experience, and implement ways of being that are in alignment for you. Now, part of that had to do with relationships, with love, with grief. We have the 3 of Swords in reverse here. You have been releasing a lot of pain. You have been in recovery mode when it came to your heart space. This is emotional and physical healing. I feel like for whoever I'm talking to, your emotional pain, because it was not being processed and acknowledged and released, created physical pain and ailments. You may have had certain pains within the body, which, if that's the case, if you haven't already, look up what that part of your body is associated to spiritually. I'm hearing nervous system. I'm seeing upper back, lower back, and the throat, the neck. Forgiveness is coming up a lot here, but it feels more like self-forgiveness. There may be other people you feel a need to forgive, especially if that dishonesty and all of that is true, but it feels more than anything, you've been on this journey of really understanding self-love and giving yourself an opportunity to experience yourself differently than always. And again, if that was the voice in your mind, there was no self-love. You were probably horrible to yourself, very critical, very mean, very, again, like you wouldn't be friends with the voice that was in your head because they were not friendly to you. They didn't care about you. And in you rewriting that script, that voice, that's you starting to actually care about yourself because you realize how you're watering yourself, which is really not even watering yourself at all. It was just kind of shoving you down even deeper, making it even worse. In this cycle that you are closing out, you are also no longer being available for imbalanced relationships of any kind, familial, platonic, romantic, whatever. With the Six of Pentacles in upright, you are being shown giving and receiving. You are being shown how to give help and accept help. You are being shown generosity, charity, and also offering generosity and charity. There is gratitude here, there is support and community. But again, part of that lesson, like we just said earlier, was seeing where you were not being fed and nurtured and taken care of in that way. Now, with this energy, some conflicts would arise with this Five of Wands cross. So this is where we are still sort of working through this energy. You may have been conflict avoidant in the past. And again, it can be due to just overwhelm and shutting down and also people pleasing tendencies. You wanted balance and harmony and community and support so badly that you were willing to silence yourself and your needs and what was bothering you in order to keep the peace. And as I always say, one of my favorite quotes, keeping the peace for everyone else will start a war within yourself, something like that. So anyway, you accepted that war because you knew war. You were familiar with war because you'd been fighting a war in your mind this whole time. So starting a war within yourself to keep the peace around you was not a big gamble for you. You were willing to do that because you knew that energy. But again, you were realizing that I am sacrificing a lot here to keep the peace for everyone while still not being able to experience peace myself. And you may have tried to outsource that peace from other people, which was not working because it's not anyone else's job. Peace is an internal responsibility. And so you are working through this Five of Wands energy. There is something about knowing how to face challenges and conflict and even aggression and also some competitive behavior here, ego, clash of ego, in a way that honors your truth and where you are without falling back into old patterns and mechanisms that are either neglecting and dismissing your needs or now turning this into a pissing contest because your ego is being triggered. Yeah, I feel like for whoever I'm talking to, you really just want some peace. And you are realizing that your external environment and the people around you and the conversations you allow to happen around you and become involved in and engage in, and everything contributes to that. Everything contributes to that peace within yourself. Some things you can't control, but I think for whoever I'm talking to, you assumed you had no control over some of the things you absolutely had control over. You just didn't want to do it. And then the things that you couldn't control, you wanted to control. And so that created a self-fulfilling prophecy that it's never going to work. This is I'm doomed. This is just how it is because you were looking the wrong way. You didn't want to change the things you could control. You wanted to change the things you couldn't control. And once you realized, oh shit, this is where I don't have control, I'm being asked to release. But with these other things, I do have control. I just need to get the cojones to do something about it. That's when change happens. Okay, wonderful. Let's see what this news cycle is bringing up for you. Okay, King of Cups, emotional maturity. We love that. All right. Show me this new cycle that they're stepping into. Look at what house Aries rules in your chart because that's going to be where Saturn will create a home this next 2.5 years. Mm. Ooh, got the Empress here. New cycles indeed. Eight of Cups again at the bottom, 10 of Cups at the top. That's good. Ooh, ooh, excuse me. All right. Hmm. In walking away from everything that did not fulfill you, you are allowing yourself to experience ultimate fulfillment, happiness, bliss, and joy. Whether that's through marriage, family, or just emotional stability, alignment, divine love, and harmony. Now we got the Four of Wands in reverse again. I do feel like for some of you, you might be moving. There might be another place to call home. But either way, in this new cycle, you are going to understand that you get to create the environment that you need for yourself with the Empress. I don't think you're going to allow yourself to feel unwelcome or unsupported moving forward. And the moment that people show that to you, I think you're ready to just let them go because you've already shown yourself, or at the least will show yourself, that you don't need to hold on to people or groups or anyone that continuously shows you that they don't care for you in the ways that you need, that they don't truly support you in the ways that you need. And no love lost. It is what it is. But it's reminding yourself that you only have so much energy to give. And perhaps right now you need it the most. So instead of pouring it into others who just keep taking and taking and taking without replenishing anything, you draw a boundary. You are creating a new abundant life for yourself with the Empress. This new cycle may be pregnancy for some people because she is a sign of fertility. But again, fertility can mean many different things. Either way, in this new cycle, you are going to learn how to truly care and nurture for yourself and for the things and people around you in a true way, not in an emotionally manipulative way, which, whether you realize it or not, may have been what you were participating in the past. This is divine feminine energy. This is knowing that what is meant for me will always cross my path and always find its way to me, and I will always show up in the ways that I am being guided to. I am being given divine guidance at all times, and I'm listening to it. And I also know that when I am still, clarity finds me. This new cycle is a new world for you. I'm also hearing creative projects. You may be feeling, again, because your energy is not being siphoned as much, you may feel a charge when it comes to creating something, self-expression, art, writing, performing, singing, music, whatever it is. This new cycle is also going to show you how to maneuver through any frustration or delay, how to be adaptable, how to be mutable, how to move with whatever is being asked of you, and how to no longer resist change. If you see that there are problems ahead, if you see that something's not working, it feels like you're no longer going to continue to force it to happen. You will just reroute. You will allow yourself to either slow down, calm the chaos, and let the dust settle before you make your next move, or you will let yourself choose a different path because you know that there are infinite paths available to you. Instead of imprisoning yourself to the thing that you know is no longer aligned because you feel loyal to it, or because it's what you've always done, or because you're too stubborn to give yourself the opportunity to find out if there's something else that you're being guided to do or follow. This is going to be a cycle of abundance and luxury with the Nine of Pentacles here. This is going because again of all the self-love work and the healing that you have done, you are elevating your sense of worthiness as well because you are releasing and letting go of the things that are not aligned with you. You are creating better alignment with success and achievement and financial independence as well. Your worthiness internally is reflected in your financial worthiness as well. So if you've been having money issues, it was because of a rooted limiting belief or block about what you are worth. And so if you continue to entertain people that don't really mess with you, who are not good to you, who don't care for you, you don't think very highly of yourself. But you are releasing that. You are showing the universe, no, 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 I don't have to settle for this energy because I know what I'm worth. And it's not that. So if I have to let this go and sit in this uncertainty and unknown without understanding what is going to come in next, if anything, I'm going to do it because I know I deserve better than that. And that is how you achieve this self sufficiency, this leisure, this rewarded effort of everything that you are willing to sacrifice because you know your worth and you know what you deserve. I feel like in this next cycle, you're also going to, your discernment is going to be really sharp. So you are going to notice if anyone is attempting to deceive you, if there's any dishonesty, any sort of strategic, sort of schemy energy, you're going to be able to pinpoint it and call it out and detach from it. Be mindful of any abuse of power that may arise with this new level of self, any controlling behavior, any irrational behavior, any manipulative behavior with this King of Swords in reverse and the Seven of Swords. All right, let's get some clarity on this energy. Actually, before I even go to that card, I want more on these. Can you tell me more about this King of Swords in reverse? The Three of Cups in reverse again, and the Five of Swords in reverse. It feels like there is resentment or remorse or regret. Might be yours, might be someone else's involved in some sort of scandal, gossip from the past. Feels like they want a new beginning, a restart. Hmm. Tell me something about the Seven of Swords. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Relationships are all up in here. The High Priestess. I think you know this. King of Pentacles in reverse. Ace of Cups. So there is this sort of proposal. Doesn't have to be a proposal, but a new relationship, new love, some sort of emotional awakening that's happening. However, there was some sort of deception or betrayal involved. That might also be due to the frustration of the delays and resisting change. Okay, this is very specific, so please do not accept this if this is not true for you. Don't make it fit. If you have to, like, again, mental gymnastics, it's not for you. For at least one person here, there is something about this new cycle where someone was dishonest. There was betrayal, and it feels again like friends may have gotten in the way of something, may have been a relationship with this Ace of Cups here. It just feels like there were outside voices or influences that created just scandalous, again, third party situations. And now there is resentment because it feels like if this is for you, you are now seeing how they contributed to the destruction of whatever this relationship was. That feels like something you saw as a wish fulfillment. And because there was resistance to changing what needed to be changed, there just kept being a bunch of shady energy. But within this new cycle, it feels like there's a restart that wants to happen. But again, change without a change of behavior or a desire. What am I trying to say? Apologies without changed behavior is manipulation. If that was true for you, and whatever end of that exchange you're on, whether someone did that to you or you're the person who was deceptive and whatever because your friends got in the way or whatever it was, change needs to be shown, especially if this was deeply painful, if this was something that was incredibly shady, things aren't going to change overnight. So learn patience now. There needs to be a people got to prove themselves. So that's all I'll say about that. Okay, let's get some guidance moving forward and see what activations. Actually, before we get guidance moving forward, let's see your activations. Universal love. I always cut to that. 44. Woo. Maybe we'll draw another message from the little bowl for a closing message as well. Passion. Ooh, excuse me. What is activating with this new cycle for whoever I'm reading for? Please and thank you. Fertility again. Ooh, you better be careful. You're not trying to have a baby. Use protection. Passion again. Use protection. Unless that's what you're trying to do, up to you, to each their own. What else is activating? Mm-hmm. All right, there are three cards. Healing at the bottom. Sacral chakra at the top. I told you. Creativity. Creativity. Which, interestingly enough, I kept mentioning guilt. Guilt is the block of the sacral chakra. So I feel like in ways that you may not even recognize, your creativity, your sensuality, your emotion was being suppressed because of all the guilt that either you were self-inflicting or that other people around you were inflicting on you. Okay, we got fertility, passion, third eye chakra. These are activations that are happening for you within this cycle. Now, again, fertility, we talked about it. Be safe. But also, we got fertility with the Empress. So, this is the birth of new energy. It feels like you are going to experience a level of passion with life in general in this next cycle, which makes sense why you will no longer tolerate anything that gets in the way of that because you want to experience this feeling. You want to revive the passion in your life. And you're also, again, I mentioned your discernment's about to be sharp. Third eye chakra, you're going to enhance your sight because you are trusting your intuition. When you keep getting those hits about what you need to be doing, who you need to cut out, who you need to reach out to, who you need to align with, who is not in alignment with you, or whatever else. This place is safe. This place is not safe. I should leave. I should go home. I should not go to this place. I should not eat that. I should not drink that. Whatever it was. And again, I know I always say don't should on yourself, but you get what I'm saying. Because you are trusting yourself more and more and you are seeing things aligning with those decisions, you're awakening your third eye. 27, 34, 6, maybe significant ages. June 27th may be a significant date. So, fertility, the frequency of fertility invites us to be more open, more courageous, more creative, and more joyful than we were before. It activates the potential for something beautiful to grow from our consciousness into a new and grander expression of ourselves. Passion. The frequency of passion reminds us that beneath every intense emotion lies the hidden gem of insight, balance, and calm. It assists us in finding the balance within this intensity, moving us from chaos to the calm of its core, where we can let its long-lasting wisdom fill us up. I also feel like for whoever I'm talking to, you may have really become accustomed to chaos and you confused chaos for passion. And now you're realizing that's not the case. Chaos is chaos. And sometimes it serves a purpose, usually to deconstruct, to destroy, so that there can be new life, new beginning. But you don't need chaos to experience passion. Third eye chakra. The frequency of the third eye chakra, the indigo flower of life, supports our intuition and our inner knowing, our imagination, and our psychic powers. So again, you are awakening your inner knowing, your imagination, and your psychic powers with this cycle. All right. Guidance moving forward, balance. Excuse me. My throat's getting scratchy and dry. Can I just say disruption? I got so many compliments today from this, like wearing purple, crown chakra. Also a little ASMR. Oh, sorry. I guess I'll wear purple more often because it was nice. I'm not gonna lie. It was nice because they were genuine. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, guidance moving forward for whoever I'm reading for, please and thanks. Really? No, bring them out. Bring them out, bring them out, bring them out, bring them out. It's hard to yell when the Pharrell is in your mouth. Shout out to T.I. May have just heard that song. Wisdom. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Passion ignited. Passion again. Look at her heart all lit up with fire. Something new is beginning here. Spiritually, your heart is en fuego. Tu corazón es en fuego. Porque ya tú sabes. See, I know a little Espanol. Don't play with me. All right. Guidance moving forward. We got solitude. We got rest and rejuvenate, a mental card. We have the shadow. We have discontent and boredom, positive movement forward, and sacrifice. Now we have three major arcana cards here as well: the hermit, the moon, and the hangman. Your next steps for this energy is to slow down and to really be clear on what it is you want with this next cycle of life. You are birthing and creating a whole new world, a new consciousness. You get to decide what that looks like. So take some time to go within and figure out what that is. You also need to face the fears that come up when you are honest about what that looks like and what you want. Pay attention to your dreams as well. They may be giving you guidance. Shadow work will be important here in order to release the narratives that your shadow has been upholding that are no longer true for you. Allow yourself to gain new perspective. Sacrifice the old stories so that you can see things differently. The hanged man is all about delay because you're being asked to look at things differently from a different perspective. Rest your mind. Give yourself time to recoup. There's been a lot of energy. It's overheating. If you can go out in nature, that will be really beneficial for you as well. With discontent and boredom, an emotional card, a couple things come up. Number one, take inventory on what is not emotionally fulfilling for you. You've already started to do this, but again, when we talked about that chaos and passion, there's something about feeling emotionally bored when there is no chaos. And because you feel bored, you might stir shit up just cuz. That may be part of this that needs to come up to your conscious awareness. Materially, in your tangible realm, positive movement forward. Trust and know that because of the space you are creating, because of loosening your grip, because of releasing control in areas where you know now you no longer have control, but taking control in the areas where you know you have control, you are creating space for this to happen, and it is happening. Your job right now is to focus on you and what is holding you back. What needs to be released? What needs to be looked at from a different perspective? What are you harboring emotionally? What are you on overdrive with in the mind? And both of these are fours. You may be seeing repeating fours. Stability, foundation, security, everything we talked about earlier. Number wise, with these cards, we have, like I mentioned, repeating fours, 8, 12, 18, and 9. I'm also feeling like these might be birthdays or significant dates. So April 4th, April 18th, April 8th, April 12th, April 9th, August 4th, August 18th, August 12th, August 9th, December 4th, December 18th, December 8th, December 9th, September 4th, September 18th, September 8th, September 9th. No, September 12th. All right. Okay, let's get one more closing message from the bowl. Closing message for this collective, please and thank you. Even silence is a message from the universe. Let's do two more. This is fun. Even silence is a message from the universe, which made me think of that solitude card. Don't mistake silence for being neglected or ignored. What else? All right. Breathe. Your clarity will return when you're still. I said that. And protect your joy like sacred fire. Ooh. All right. That is your reading. Thank you for sharing this time and for trusting me with this guidance. As always, if you would like to book a personal with me, the link is down below in the description. Just a reminder, I will not have any availability come end of June until August. So if you would like it sooner rather than later, get to booking. And again, Shadows of the Self available for only $25 for the month of May. Ooh, excuse me. And we talked about the shadow a lot here. So get that. Make use of that. It's self-paced. Just listen to your less than 10-minute audio each week. Journal, do the exercises that are available, and begin to bring awareness to your shadow habits and patterns so that they no longer control your life and hold you back because it's a new cycle. And as always, if you're not already, subscribe to the newsletter at returntoself.me and make sure to check it out for more information on some of the things that I mentioned today during this reading, including Saturn moving into Aries, this Gemini new moon, and other energetic forecasts and information. All right, y'all. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you soon.